All right, this is Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com. I've got the former super bantamweight champ, Danny Ramon. How you doing, Danny?
I'm doing pretty good, Jeff. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. And you got a big fight coming up, a marquee fight against Stephen Fulton on June 4th for his WBC and WBO super bantamweight titles at the Armory in Minneapolis. How excited are you for that fight?
I'm more than excited, more than ready for coming next Saturday, June 4th, against take those belts back home from Stephen Fulton.
Yeah, and you know, Danny, I mentioned before, my friend Sonny Franco's been the ring announcer for Thompson Boxing for years. He's done a lot of your fights. I've been following you from afar out here in Texas. You seem, for a guy who's been a champion for a long time, been fighting since 2010, you kind of have flown under the radar. Do you agree with that?
I do agree. I don't get that exposure as other champions are getting, but you know what? I'm enjoying it. Everybody in the weight class knows who Danny Ramon is, though. So that's the important thing.
That's what counts, right?
Yes, sir.
And let me ask you though, because you know, when I do these interviews, I like to tell the people's story. I like to understand, you know, where they came from, how they got into the sport, because I really think that helps the profile and gets you some more exposure. But can you just kind of give that background, you know, when you first laced up the gloves and kind of how your upbringing was?
Yes, well, we all started. I was playing football, soccer, in school. I was like 7, 8 years old. Kicked the ball the wrong way over the fence, got beat up, came home crying. And at that time, my cousin and my older brother were doing boxing with my uncle. So my dad says, you know what, it's time for you to learn how to defend yourself. So I didn't have no idea about boxing. So they sent me to my uncle with my cousins and my brother. So I ended up learning how to box right there. I didn't have no idea about boxing or anything about fighting, but little by little, I was practicing, I was sparring. I did my first amateur fights as a kid, and that's when I realized, you know what, I think this is my sport.
Really? So how old were you when you first started learning to box?
I believe I was 7 years old.
Wow, 7 years old. And how was your amateur career?
It was 60 wins and 10 losses.
Okay, okay. And you went pro, I think you were about 20 years old, if not mistaken?
Yes. I was 20 years old when I did my first pro fight back in October of 2020. I mean 2010. Sorry.
Yeah, and you know, Danny, I was looking at your record, going through your fights. You were 2-1-1 after your first 4 fights.
Yes.
I mean, we know boxing. There could be bad decisions. There could be a lot of things. But you know, were you thinking back then that maybe boxing wasn't the sport after those first 4 fights?
I mean, at the beginning, I was thinking, I was like, you know what, I gotta do my best. You know, I can't just go out like this. I spent a lot of years in boxing. I invested a lot of years in boxing, and you know what, I'm gonna take it one step at a time. And that's what I did. You know, after my first loss, I believe that was my 4th fight. I thought about it. I was like, you know what? There's room for me to improve. I gotta do better. You know, I can't just keep on fighting the way I'm fighting. And I motivated myself, and I went back into it.
And what changes did you make? Because you're a young fighter at that point. You know, obviously you have mental toughness to even have those thoughts. But what specifically?
Well, back when I was early in my career, I was just like a brawler, just fight, no head movement, just throw punches, and mostly like you can say a Mexican style, just throw power shots and stay there in the pocket. So I learned a little bit more defense, practice more defense, box a little, and that helped me on a little by fight by fight. We kept on improving, and that's what helped me on my style.
And you mentioned Mexican style, and you know, there's been a lot of great Mexican champions over the years, as you know, that are Eric Morales, well, Canelo at the top of the list today. I'm going blank off Salvador Sanchez, Marco Antonio Barrera. Was there any fighter that you emulated or that you try to be like back then?
Well, back then, well, I grew up watching Chavez Sr. So, Chavez Sr. just stayed on the pocket and fought from there. But I wasn't doing the right thing he was doing. I mean, bobbing, weaving, and get those inside shots. So, I mean, I had to I couldn't just because I made the fight so close. That's why I think I lost my first loss because the fight was really close because it was just staying there and banging. So once I started boxing, I started seeing more dominant in the fight, and so that's what helped me. I didn't make the fights too close. It was one-sided after that.
Yeah, and you're definitely a technician in the ring, and your placements of shots and all that. Did that just come with the experience and maturation as a fighter?
It was a combination. It was a experience as well as the work in the gym, what my trainer had me doing, and as well, it's like what, we can't keep on. Even himself, he told me, it's like, what, we're making the fights too close, and we could risk losing again, like we did in the first fight. So we got to make an adjustment, and we did. We started becoming more technical fighter. A little bit of everything, a little bit of brawling, a little bit of staying in the pocket, a little bit of boxing, just a little bit of everything.
And then you finally did win your first world title against Ryo Matsumoto in Japan. What was that experience like, and bringing that title back to Thompson Boxing?
Yeah, no, well, I won the title against Sean Kubo. Ryo Matsumoto was my first title defense.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But Sean Kubo, it was my first time going outside the country that far, all the way to Japan. I won the title eliminator against Adam Lopez. I believe the beginning of 2017. Yes, and after that, Cermeño was the champion back then. So he fought against Sean Kubo. Sean Kubo beat him, and so I got the chance to fight against the Japanese champion, Sean Kubo. It was a great experience. Different tradition, Japanese people, different culture. I loved it. I loved it out there. A lot of fans show their love. A lot of fans show their respect for me even after beating their champion. They show respect. It was just a different and a new and a loving experience for me. And I went back against to do my first title defense against Ryo Matsumoto.
Right.
Tough. It was a tough guy, but we ended up getting the victory. And again, the Japanese people showing love and showing respect.
And as I mentioned, Thompson Boxing, you don't see a lot of loyalty. You fought at the DoubleTree, which is their home base for many of your fights. You don't see a lot of loyalty. I've met Ken Thompson before, the promoter. What keeps you tied to them and just the loyalty that you don't see in boxing every day?
I did all my fights, and you could say I did most of my before the title fights. Most of my fights were with Thompson, either at the DoubleTree, Ontario, or in Corona, Tomega. They're good people. They're good people. They treat me nice. They treat me good. They look out for their fighters, and they want what's best for us as a fighter. And so they've been good. So since I started my career, I've been with them, and it's been lovely.
That's great. That's great to hear. And we're going to talk about Stephen Fulton here in a minute. So one bit here, Danny, and I'm here with the former super bantamweight champ, Danny Ramon, Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com. I was reading, you're doing now the strength and conditioning, and it's adding a different element to your game. And I found parallel in that. I covered Errol Spence here in Dallas quite a bit, and he just hired a nutritionist before his last fight, and we know the results there against Ugas. Is it something that you noticed in your fights, in your training, or I know early 30s, just like Spence. What made you decide to go that route at this phase?
Well, I think they made a mistake right there because I've been doing a strength and conditioning for a couple years now. So I think they got confused. They probably thought I was just starting to do strength
Okay.
and conditioning, but like it's part of the training camp, but it's just like you could say like just a certain time doing strength conditioning. Then after that, we leave it behind and we concentrate more on the boxing part. So it's all like with the timing. It depends. It'll be earlier in my training camp, the strength and conditioning. And then by the middle of the camp, we're getting close to a fight. We'll push that on the side. I mean, we'll still do a few, but like our main focus is the boxing. So I've been good with my weight, so I haven't had no problem. Even now, week before fight week, I'm good in weight, and yes, it depends on the fighter. You could say how it will affect them, but for me, it's been great. You know, I've been doing it for years. Yes, we modify a few stuff, but overall, it's been good for me.
And the training you do, if I'm not mistaken, kind of emulates what you do in the ring. So it kind of ties into everything.
Yes. I mean, they don't got us doing like really really heavy weight. You know, that everything got to be related with boxing because there's certain exercise as a boxer that you don't need like a professional weightlifter
Right.
compared to boxing. So it's just my coaches. They'll find like stuff that will help me improve or will make me stronger for the boxing part.
Yeah, and now you're coming up, which arguably the biggest fight of your career, looking to become the a two-time unified super bantamweight champion against Stephen Fulton. He was in a hell of a fight against Brandon Figueroa not too long ago. What were your thoughts of that in that fight, and did you think he won the fight?
It it was a good fight. It was a close fight. I think he edged it off for a point or two. But the right thing, it would have been a rematch. But like if they would have done the rematch, I would have been pushed aside a little bit longer so they could fight. So it sucks for Figueroa, but it's good for me. I don't know if you understand it because I get to fight the champion now. But yes, it was a competitive fight. Uh, if Fulton showed that he can stay there and fight inside the pocket, uh, he can fight inside as well, and he can make adjustments during the fight. So he's a smart fighter.
Yeah, and as we know, Figueroa swarms you, and Fulton really did have. There was a lot of nuance to his game that night to be able to adjust to that. What I mean, your style, how do you guys match up?
Oh, I could do the same. You know, a little bit of everything. I could stay there to fight. I could box. I'm more of a technician fighter, technical fighter. As well, he's a smart fighter too. I can make adjustments during the fight as well as he can. So mostly be like a chess game. You know, it all depends on who makes the proper adjustments during the fight. But we know I feel more than ready, and I feel like we're gonna be victorious coming June 4th.
And I think even though this fight is a marquee fight, and for the boxing purists, it's definitely high up on the list. But do you see this as a possible fight of the year candidate?
Yes, it's possible. You know, people that know me, they know that it's gonna be a fight in there. You know, I go out there, do my best, and give my heart out. You know, leave it all in the ring, and especially knowing fighting a fighter like a caliber like Fulton, especially a unified champion. You know, we gotta give it all. You know, you to beat the champion, you gotta like beat the champion.
And if everything goes right on June 4th, Danny, are you hoping for a rematch? And I don't want to mess up his name, but Akhmadulov, who you thought you won that first fight.
Of course, he's still in the back of my mind. You know, we still got finished business, but I like taking it one step at a time. You know, my focus right now is Fulton. Hopefully everything goes good that night, and after that, we'll be able to decide. But right now, my focus is Fulton. But yes, like I said, I still got finished business with MJ. I still got that little rock in my shoe.
And that would be for undisputed.
Yes, I'll be great.
All right. Well, you heard it here with Danny Roman. He's been fighting for a long time, and former world champion super bantamweight WBC, fighting for the WBC WBO title against Stephen Fulton on June 4th. It's a premier boxing champion and Showtime broadcast, and you got a big fight in front of you. Like I said, I've been following you for quite some time, and love watching you work and all you bring to the ring, and look forward to seeing you on June 4th, and appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, and expect a great fight and a great night, and hopefully everything goes good and we become victorious, unified champion once more, June 4th.
Thanks, Danny.